It's the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. Jim Savali's back, and how you feeling, Jim?
I feel like
James Brown, better than James
ton
Brown.
of bricks.
There you go.
Except I'm not the bricks. I'm the one being hit by them.
Oh yeah. But you're back. That's positive. That's positive.
Can't keep you down.
And I want to thank Stephen Miller for filling in. And we actually had two really nice shows, Steve and I. We've butted heads with politics, but we got along beautifully.
I heard you guys kissed and made up on the air.
Yeah. It's funny when you're working together and you have a mutual goal. It's like we had two really nice shows. So.
I knew that about you too when I saw it all happening all the time, and I knew that it was just once you are together, it's it's different. It's all good.
I have a lot of friends with different politics, and I don't let it stop the friendship. But I want to dedicate the show to two people, King Kong Bundy and the Destroyer, both legends who passed this week. And I wrote this piece for Mark Madison's Pro Wrestling Post, and it's very short and sweet. I'm just going to open with this before we bring our first guest on. In real life, as wrestling people are oft to say, the massive King Kong Bundy was an eclectic mix of highly intelligent, blunt, gruff, lovable, supportive, businesslike, funny, and at times grumpy. And he sure wasn't scared to speak his mind. Ginzburg, he'd bellow upon seeing me at a wrestling convention or indie show, instantly continuing some political debates we'd had online. You see, he'd give me crap, a sly grin etched on his face. For Bundy didn't always agree with my liberal leanings, and in an odd way it was empowering for me to stand my ground and debate someone who on a whim could have crushed me like a bug. While I'll leave the career retrospectives to those who do them far better than I'd be remiss not to say that in those pre-tweener days, Bundy was that perfect heel with that most perfect of monikers. If Spider-Man's Kingpin had combined with serial killer Ted Bundy, you'd have the sneering 458-pound King Kong Bundy in all his monstrous glory. Like James Bond needed Goldfinger, Dr. No, Scaramanga, and Blofeld, the larger-than-life Hulk Hogan needed the Iron Sheik, Piper, Mr. Wonderful, and Bundy as credible challengers. And he was, as proven by his WrestleMania 2 main event, which was the perfect superhero versus supervillain Marvel Comics level matchup. And when those boos cascaded down, King Kong Bundy proved to indeed be heel royalty. When he passed recently, a few personal memories played through my head. On the East Coast indie scene, where I played a variety of roles over the years, one night I walked into a small locker room, glanced about, and saw something in the corner of my eye that reminded me of the horror film classic The Blob. It was a whitish pale, massive substance that quivered every which way. I honestly wasn't sure what it was. And when he suddenly turned around, it was none other than King Kong Bundy in his birthday suit, no less. An unforgettable image etched in my memory. Another time, as associate producer on The Wrestler, we were attending indie shows every weekend to research and bring authenticity to the film. With Darren Aronofsky and team in hand, I was the middleman and asked the local promoter if we could have a pre-match face-to-face with Bundy. Although he appeared skeptical of us at first, he opened up and Darren picked his brain. What he learned in less than an hour about the business was the equivalent of a library's worth of wrestling books. Bundy, along with the late Johnny Valiant, Nikolai Volkov, and other legends like Greg Valentine, painted a picture of living an almost nomadic life on the road for us and are among the unsung heroes of the wrestler movie. King Kong Bundy is yet, and no shock here, another legend shamefully left out of the WWE Hall of Fame. He's also, like so many of our wrestling heroes, gone too soon. Luckily, his career peaked at the ideal time during that mid-'80s boom, and his body of work will remain for fans to savor forever. So, R.I.P. King Kong Bundy, Chris, and the Destroyer as well. And We'll talk a little more wrestling later, we hope. But right now we have Patty Hintz, a.k.a. Fred Hintz. And Fred's going to do a set in just a bit to celebrate St. Patrick's Day a bit early. But welcome back to the show, Fred.
Oh, it's great. And I was thinking about being the first guest, and I was thinking, like, if you were Carson, I'd be the first guest. Bob Hope, and he used to have John Wayne, and there was a pecking order. The last guest would be a guy with a bird or an author of a book you never heard of. So,
speaking of John Wayne, what do both you guys think that 50 years after the fact, they dig up an old interview and go, John Wayne's racist, John Wayne's homophobic, and I'm kind of like, John Wayne's dead, and this is old news. What do you guys think? I'll throw it out to both of you.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I wouldn't even pay attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, to make comments about someone who's already a legend, he's a good man, no one had bad things to say about him, now you gotta say bad stuff about him. I mean, it's like, he's dead. Give him a break.
I'm liberal, and obviously I don't appreciate homophobia or racism, but it's like he can't respond to it.
Right, exactly.
And it's taken in different times, different mores. And I'm not saying any of what he said was right or not, but why try to destroy an icon? The guy's been dead 30 years.
Right. Who cares?
I mean, I don't see it. I don't. Now we're getting, Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis Presley were pedophiles too. I'm like, these guys were hillbillies. They got married. It was a different era,
time.
different mores. I mean, am I wrong?
Let's chastise them now that they're gone and it's a different era.
Well, Jerry Lee Lewis is still here.
That's like saying people from the 1800s who married 14-year-old girls are all pedophiles. Let's tear up all their graves and call them all pedophiles. Anyone who got married to someone under 18 back in the day when it was acceptable, today it's not, so we should judge them based on our society rules today.
Besides the fact, Jerry Lee Lewis's career was really hurt very badly by it.
Oh, sure. He was like married his cousin,
It decimated his career. So you're throwing out terms like white privilege, like nothing happened to the guy. His career was decimated. I mean,
I think we should just focus on picking on people who are alive.
Well, Jerry Lee Lewis is alive, but they're going back. It's a 60-year-old story.
He just had a stroke.
He just had a stroke,
He's still plugging away, playing in a wheelchair. You got to give him some props for that. Yeah.
So Public Enemy in Fight the Power has a line, Elvis was a hero to most. and then they say he's racist. Elvis Presley used to hang out with James Brown and sing gospel music. So even that's like questionable.
I don't know how they make this up. I swear.
And I like Public Enemy. I'm just saying. I just don't understand going after dead people long after they're gone. I mean, when I was a kid, it was like, don't speak ill of the dead. So this always like rubs me the wrong way.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. It's something I wouldn't even pay attention to. Even if he was my hero. John, which he's not, but even if he was, I probably wouldn't pay attention to it.
The other side of it is, as a liberal, we always were anti-censorship. Now all of a sudden it's like, let's ban everybody. And Michael Jackson was proven innocent in a court of law. Whether he is or isn't, is banning his music the answer? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
How are you going to ban someone's music? I mean, you're just not going to play it.
He sold hundreds of millions of records. They're out there.
I mean, there's no banning it.
They sing on the radio.
Are you going to take it all off YouTube? Are they going to take it all off anyone who has it on their computers and stuff like that?
Certain stations are saying we won't play it anymore.
Well,
I mean,
the same with some comedians. You've been reading recently how some comedians, I forget who it was not allowed to perform at a certain venue. I forget who he was because they objected to his material.
What about pulling out a 10-year-old joke, a 10-year-old routine?
If they ban all those songs like Michael Jackson and stuff, we're gonna open up a new radio station and we're gonna play them all.
you make a fortune. The Michael Jackson station.
We'll play all of them.
Make a fortune. Mm-hmm. Look, I tend to. I'm a big wrestling fan, obviously. I don't watch Chris Benoit's matches because he murdered his wife, murdered his kid, killed himself. But at the same time, I don't say ban his art, if somebody else gets pleasure out of it, I don't see the purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just brings back that whole horrible incident, and
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm with
I just wouldn't enjoy watching him at this point.
No, I
but
wouldn't either.
but if somebody else does, what's the point of banning art?
Do you think they're gonna play R. Kelly's "Think You Can Fly" at sporting events anymore?
I think
you
some
think
will
he's
and
done?
some
You think
won't.
he's
Like
done?
I think
Yeah,
some will and
that's
some
another
won't. You know, some radio stations are banning R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. Others aren't. But I mean, then you hear stuff like Woody Allen. I mean, Woody Allen, his own kid. He has a son. And Sun Yi said he was innocent. There was never a trial.
Yep,
It's
yep.
like
It's-
they're comparing him to like serial rapist, and it's ridiculous.
his name crossed my mind when you mentioned that because, and think about the fact that they've been married for like 30 years now, I want to say.
She said it was all nonsense.
Yes,
Sun
and she
Yi.
finally came out and said it. And that's a good thing.
So I mean, how are you comparing Woody Allen to Bill Cosby? Or it's ridiculous. Anyway, this is about you, Fred.
Oh,
now
it's
that we
all
got
about-
totally off
Yes,
track.
it is all
Now
about.
we're
Tell us
talking
about
about
Tell us about
serial
your
killers.
criminal offenses.
right,
No, I'm
what do you
joking.
got?
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything, to be honest.
There
with
you go.
You know.
I'll tell you, I as a former teacher with kids, I never quite understood the whole thing where a teacher would date an underage student. I mean, I could almost see a college professor because you're dealing with adults, but teachers with underage kids, I don't get it. And today, it's like one case after another.
I mean, you have to be walking into that knowing you're going to get caught. Because there's no way a teenage boy or girl is going to keep their mouth shut
course.
about having sex with their teacher.
Of course.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So basically, unless you must have something loose in your head to not realize that you're going to get caught.
I'll tell you, even if you're a 21-year-old, first-year teacher and a 17-year-old hits on you, front page is like teacher molests little
Yep.
girl.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
work.
There's no
It
way.
doesn't work.
Well, you can watch, if you want to brush up on that, watch Homework with Joan Collins. And you can follow that up with Sylvia Christel. And what was the name of the movie? I can't
Emmanuel.
No, it's the same theme. It's the same theme. I'll think of it. The title.
Sylvia Christel.
Ladies.
She's gone now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put
Private
on...
Lessons was the movie.
Oh,
Wow.
Private Lessons.
All you got to do is put on Lifetime, like my wife watches,
Yeah.
and you can see non-stop stories of teachers sleeping with students and this and
I mean,
that.
it does happen, but I could see a 30-year-old professor and a 20-year-old college student without it being some horrible scandal.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, even
Yeah.
technically they could say it's an abuse of authority
Right.
or whatever the case may be, but if somebody's underage, you just got to avoid it like the plague because it's nothing good's going
Wait
to
till
come
they
of
grow
it.
up if you're that infatuated. Wait the extra couple of years. Be at their 18th birthday party. Hey!
So, you're.
Yeah. It's these things are complicated, but anyway, Fred, update us since you've been on the show a couple months back. What's been happening?
Well, I'm working on some things. Here's something a little out of the box I'll relate to you, and I've done this once or twice over the years, but there's a poet and writer and painter by the name of Laura Ding Edwards. She lives in England, and seems like she's quite popular. And my sister had actually posted a poem of hers, which I had heard before, and in reading it, a melody came to mind. So again, this is out of character for me, but I messaged her and I said, "Has anyone ever put this poem to music?" I said, I'm just me, I'm not anybody," and she was very receptive to the idea. Now I stressed to her, this is just, she's to me a terrific writer, and this poem says a lot. And I stressed to her, this is not going to be, unless it's up to you, something that we can move forward to and record. It would be just for me to, to play. And she was very receptive, so I'm almost done with that.
Okay.
Probably another week or so. And I was thinking, it could be another Cats in the Cradle,
There you go.
Harry Chapin's wife wrote the poem and I wrote the music. But a melody came to me, which I think is fairly unique. I've never heard it before, so I'm working on that. And I'm not really booked in March. I got a couple gigs planned for April and May. I'm gearing up for the nice weather.
Okay.
You know, gearing up. I was King Kong Bundy was on my agenda this morning to
You
mention.
should
But
you should
that's
do
a
Ode to
terrific
King Kong Bundy. You know?
do you remember him in the Xerox commercials?
Yeah,
later
yeah,
on?
yeah.
I mean, he and I read that your article. It was just spot on the money, and I think one of the keys to it, not to talk a lot about wrestling, but is that the faces need the heels.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know. I get it that they're paid a lot more. I mean, Bundy said in the interview, and I don't know if this is true, he said Hogan got $1 million for WrestleMania 2. He got 2 checks of $500,000 each. He got $50,000. And he was asked if that's fair. He goes, I was very happy with that payday. Was a big payday for me. It helped me. It helped my family. He goes, Hogan is the draw. But again, the
Takes
sidebar
two to
that-
tango.
right. You know, Hogan's not going to draw if he's fighting Angelo Savoldi, right?
Well, Johnny Valiant used
Yeah.
to say to me, he'd wrestle Bruno at the Garden, and Bruno, the Valiant brothers were huge. They
Absolutely.
headlined the Garden 4 times in a year, and he said Bruno got about 4 times the pay that he got, and it's like it takes 2 to tango.
Yeah.
You can't wrestle yourself.
Right.
So he didn't feel it was quite as fair, but he was still grateful for a payday that was much bigger than he had been accustomed to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be wrong. That was WrestleMania 2 was the only steel cage match in WrestleMania.
I don't know. I'm not.
Okay.
Ask Jimmy Farrow.
Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah. Monty and the Farrow, Thursdays,
Okay, I
8:05.
understand. But King
Yeah.
Kong Bundy, again,
I'm not the WWE guy. I don't
All
know.
right. He was another guy that I really thought at some point would turn face because he was a heel that was a little somewhat popular, which a lot of the heels are now.
Yeah.
You know, not as hated as they used to be.
As a kid,
Yeah.
Superstar Billy Graham was the first cool heel. Then Randy Savage. You know, back
Right.
then it was very, you booed the heel
Right.
and you
Now
cheered
it's
the
not.
face, but some guys, and Piper. I left Piper out. Billy Graham, Piper, and Randy Savage. A lot of fans cheered because they were just so cool that you couldn't help but love these guys.
Hogan too said he wasn't good as a heel. He said I was too popular. He goes, and I couldn't. He said it wasn't my fault. I was trying to be a heel,
Yeah.
but it was fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
You know.
The problem today is they kind of blur the lines between face and heel, and you just have 2 guys doing moves, and if you don't have an emotional involvement, who am I rooting for? It's tough. It's tough. Back then, if you were a kid, you rooted for Bruno or Pedro or
Bruno was my hero, my grandmother's hero.
yeah.
You know, without question.
Yeah. I'll tell you, last year when Bruno died and recently Pedro, it just seems like it's like a chunk of your youth, like you grew up on these guys.
Oh, again, memories of waiting for the daily news.
With
To
the
get
results.
in the little box,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was saying,
Yeah.
buried under the racing form. You had to hunt for
I don't know if you remember this, but I would go to the Garden Cards and come home on a Monday night with school the next morning. There was a wrestling radio show on 1 in the morning.
No, don't
Yeah.
remember yet.
Yeah, and it was like the first wrestling radio show, and you would listen to the results, and every once in a while they'd have one of the wrestlers on, and yeah, those days, man, when you really, really cared. There's a pay-per-view on tonight. If you put $1,000 in front of me, I couldn't tell you the lineup.
Yeah.
'Cause it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just another show. Just another show. So, getting back to music, since you're a musician and not a wrestler, I was down at the Brooklyn Bowl last night for Tower of Power, and they've been out there 50 years.
Wow.
And some of these guys on stage were like 70 plus. Young singer,
Yeah.
great singer. His name's Marcus Scott. They used to have Lenny Williams on lead, the great Lenny Williams. And Tower of Power, along with Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament Funkadelic, Chicago. There's not too many world-class horn sections like these guys. Can you think of anybody else? Where you have like an army of horns on stage and...
First group that comes to mind, and I've seen Southside Johnny and the Asbury
Okay,
Jukes.
Southside Johnny's great.
You know, and the band that he had in those days with the original lineup was terrific.
Yeah.
They created a sound that was.
I saw Southside
Yeah.
Johnny. He loves R&B, even though he's a rocker. He loves R&B, yeah.
I
Southside
do a
John.
few of his songs still in the
Really?
set. Yeah,
Okay.
without the horns, of course.
Southside's great. And he's no kid anymore either.
No, he's in that late 60s, I want to say.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Well, even Clarence Clemens is gone.
his son is playing. I understand.
I once saw Clarence Clemens do an R&B review without Bruce,
Really?
and it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
The
when
good
he
horn
passed.
section. You're right. You don't find too much
Like
anymore.
that tight
But
horn
Chicago in their heyday with those, with those first
Even
couple
today.
albums were just great.
I saw Chicago tour with Earth, Wind and Fire, and they put all the horns on stage at the same time, and they did each other's songs. Like they switched off. Like Earth, Wind and Fire would do a Chicago song, and Chicago would do an Earth, Wind and Fire song. It was great. They had all those horns on stage. I'm like a sucker for a good horn section. When they substitute it with like synthesizers or whatever, it's not as effective for me.
Van Morrison for some years was using a horn section. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
I saw him for the first time last year, and it's funny. I'm more R&B, jazz, and blues guy, but I like Van Morrison very much. But when you see him live, and it's loud, and you don't understand a lot of the words if you don't know the songs.
Right.
Like I know Moondance, obviously, but I know a couple. Brown Eyed Girl. I know some of the big hits, but the other songs where I couldn't quite grasp the lyrics.
Yeah.
I wasn't that enamored because I'm like, it's just like kind of a blur of sound. Because I understand the guy's a quote unquote genius and great lyricist, but you have to understand the lyrics. The same thing with rap music. They'll go, "This kid's a genius." It's like, I don't know what the hell the kid just said. I mean, he may be a genius, but
I saw him once in the 70s. I was disappointed. He was, again, a little bit tough to understand. He doesn't have too much of a stage persona. In recent years, and he's in that other category, and with a lot of other people, like, to me, knock it off with the duets already. I want to see him sing,
I saw him
give me
with
the
Willie
duets
Nelson, and Willie Nelson I enjoyed more for the simple reason I understood every word he said.
I always mention his name, but you watch recent clips of Bob Dylan, you can hear all the lyrics. That's why it annoys me when people say, "I don't know what he's saying."
Yeah.
You're not listening. You can hear everything he's saying, singing.
Every
Every word.
They say Smokey Robinson is America's greatest poet, and when the guy sings, you understand everything the guy says. Which Sinatra, you would understand everything the guy said.
He had a real way of singing that was unique.
I'm sure you're a big fan of mumble rap, right?
No. What is it?
Mumble rap is guys rapping and they're like mumbling and you don't know what they're saying. It's just like sound for the point of sound. But anyway, you're on a tight schedule, so plug anything you want to plug before we go to
I
your
have
set.
several videos on the YouTube now. Again, I tell people there's two different personas to me. In a restaurant, in a coffee house, I'm the Greenwich Village guy.
Yeah.
In a bar, it's gonna be New York, rock and roll, Lou Reed, Patti Smith,
There you go.
David Johansen, and a host of other things. So on the YouTube channel, which I have about 7 or 8 videos there, all you have to do is put in Fred Hintze. You don't have to bother with
And
Fred
spell
Hintze
it, spell it.
Experience. Hintze. It is the Fred Hintze Experience, and everybody's piggybacking on that. Everything is an experience now. Go see the Lou Reed Experience in the city, or everything is that. But
Or extreme. Everything's extreme, right?
Yeah. So again, we're gearing up for the nice weather. I hope to do some outdoor venues this year, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be fun.
And I just want to plug tonight at the bitter end from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, the great Ned Massey. And this is an amazing story. John Hammond Sr., the great record producer and talent scout, he discovered everybody from Billie Holiday to Dylan to Springsteen. He discovered Ned Massey. So, who's a musical genius, one of the greatest songwriters I've ever met, and he's a friend of mine. And so John Hammond is recording him, and John Hammond has a stroke, and then he dies in the middle of it. And 30 years later, Ned's still out there, but it didn't. He was supposed to be the next Springsteen, and it didn't happen. And he's written full-length plays, musicals. I mean, starred in it. Wrote the music, the lyrics. I mean, brilliant songwriter. And he's playing tonight at the Bitter
Is
End.
there any relation to Edith Massey that used to be in a lot of the John Waters films? Any chance?
No, he's the father of Raymond Massey, who played Lincoln, and I don't know.
No,
it's a common name. I don't know.
But the Bitter End is a terrific place. It's great value there, and it's a great place to go.
Oh yeah.
The Bitter End.
And when you go to the Bitter End, there's photos of like all the legends that played there. I mean, everybody played there.
I've seen so many good shows at the Bitter End and the Bottom Line.
I mean, Stevie Wonder played there. I mean, everybody played there. Yeah. I missed the Bottom Line.
Bottom Line, I saw Harry Chapin there. I saw Patti Smith at the Bottom Line.
I saw and met Harry Chapin, got an autograph from him, and it was so sad the day he died because he was like 40. Yeah, Harry Chapin.
And I'll throw in a quick plug for the Harry Chapin Foundation. You can get so many, for a modest donation, a few dollars, you can get some really neat things. I got recently there's about 75 copies of his original typewritten lyrics to Taxi.
Wow.
With all the corrections that he made. And I think it was like a $40 donation in a nice picture frame and everything. I mean, you can really get some neat things. So if you want,
So let's depress the audience with great musicians that died in accidents. Harry Chapin, Jim Croce went down in a plane.
Stevie
Ray Vaughan, Otis Redding,
John Denver, Buddy Holly,
Big Bopper.
Anyone from Lynyrd Skynyrd. John Denver, you said. Oh man, there's a lot.
Aaliyah. Our next guest, Eric.
Who's that guest from the Mexican girl, or the Spanish girl that died? Wasn't she in a plane crash?
I don't. No, Selena was murdered.
She was murdered, right? Okay, I'm sorry.
So one of the photographs that's etched in my brain that I didn't need to see was them pulling the body of Otis Redding out of the river. It's like, why even like show something like that? It's just disturbing, very disturbing. But
some sort of fascination about it,
They're pulling its body out with a hook. It's like you don't need to see that.
It's just like when they show autopsy pictures of Marilyn Monroe. I mean,
Give us a warning first before you show it. Time to get out of the room.
Like when I was a kid, I saw a picture of Bruce Lee in his grave, in his coffin, and it just disturbed me because you don't want to think of somebody because who was more alive than Bruce Lee? So now that we've depressed everybody, we're gonna have an up-tempo set of Irish music.
This is up-tempo? When you hear this.
So we're gonna take a very brief time out while Fred sets up, and we'll be back with a live set of music, folks.
Good deal.
350 days a year as a wrestler on the road. Maybe it's a sickness.
350 days a year.
A lot of physical pain, a lot of loneliness.
You have no home life whatsoever.
Piper and me riding down the road, doing 8 balls of cocaine. I'm sure it broke up marriages.
How many guys in the wrestling business have a family left when they're done? Most of them lose it.
I couldn't have children. I couldn't put on my turnbuckle while mommy worked.
I hit the bars, and that was my character. Sitting in a room with a bunch of wrestlers doing cocaine, we really got to know each other.
I would take a lot of downers, and I did have problems with the downers.
I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I was not a faithful husband from the first day, for the whole time on the road. I lived a double life.
I needed it. It was like, I'm not getting the love I needed home.
Would I do? Oh my God, I'm afraid to say I would do it again.
I wouldn't change a thing.
No regrets.
Well, I want to tell you, to make some big money in wrestling, you had to wrestle every night of the week, $30 every day. So you had to wrestle 6 and 7 times every week just to earn your money.
350 days on the road with wrestlers, a living hell.
Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. Jim Savali at the helm. And Fred Hintz is going to regale us with some Irish music. He's got the green shirt. And play as long as short as you like, because I think our wrestler friends have stood us up. So
It'll be all night. But
okay.
I did some cramming for this. I'm not too big on the Irish tunes. If you want to see Irish tunes, I'll throw a plug in from a friend of mine, Gil McLean, who plays on the island, and the man can play anything.
Okay.
Anything. He can do 2-3 hours of Irish music, play all kind of oldies. But we had seen an Irish singer for years on the island here. His name was Paddy Riley, and he's since retired.
That doesn't sound Irish. Paddy Riley? Yeah.
So I'll for the next 3 songs, I'll try to recreate. Now, I've never been to Ireland, but if you went to an Irish pub...
I've been to Sunnyside.
You've been...
Yeah, Sunnyside's pretty Irish, right?
If you went to an Irish pub in Ireland and saw a folk singer, he would definitely, without a doubt, play these 3 songs I'm going to play.
Okay.
Will crop up.
There you go.
All right, so we'll give it a go. In the tradition of the Irish tenor Joe Feeney from the Lawrence Welk Show, who my dad liked, and Paddy Riley, we'll give it a go, as they say.
There you go.
We'll give it a go. From the County Clare. Oh, my lovely Rose of Clare, you're the sweetest girl I know. You're the queen of all the roses and pretty flowers that grow. You are the sunshine of my life, so beautiful and fair. For I will always love you, my lovely Rose of Clare. Oh, the sun shines out like a jewel across the lovely hills of Clare. As I strolled along with my sweet lass one evening at the fair, her eyes they shone like silver streams, her long and golden hair. For I have won the heart of one, my lovely Rose of Clare. As we walked down by the river bank, watched the Shannon rolling by, and listened to the nightingale singing songs for you and I. And so to say farewell to all your truth and fair, for I have stolen the heart of one, my lovely Rose of Clare. Oh, my lovely Rose of Clare, you're the sweetest girl I know. You're the queen of all the roses and pretty flowers that grow. You are the sunshine of my life, so beautiful and fair. For I will always love you, my lovely Rose of Clare. For I will always love you, my lovely Rose of Clare. From the County Clare.
There you go.
And since I feel my voice is a little higher today, I don't know why. Sometimes it's that way. This is another classic Irish song that, again, you'll hear from any Irish singer. The Fields of Athenry. We'll give it a go.
There you go.
By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young girl calling. Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, so the young might see the morn. Now a prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry, by lonely prison wall. I heard a young man calling. Well, nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the fathom and the crown, I rebelled, they cut me down. Now you must raise our child with dignity. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched a small free bird fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Well, it's so lonely round the fields of Athenry, by lonely harbor wall. She watched the last star falling as the prison ship sailed out against the sky. Sure, she lived and hoped and prayed for a love in Botany Bay. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched a small free bird fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Well, it's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. You know, we're staying a little traditional here, you know. And this is another, I'll end up with this. This is another classic Irish song, again, that you'll hear anywhere. Recently recorded by Rod Stewart.
Okay.
Seems that he's doing a lot of Irish music lately. So we'll stay in the higher register here on a rainy Sunday. Okay. As we gathered in the chapel here in old Chameleon Jail, I think about the last few weeks. Will they say we failed? From our school days they have told us we yearn for liberty, and all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love, I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, so we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I have for these brave men and my love for this brave land. But when the patriarch called me to his down in the GPO, I had to leave my own sick bed. For him, I had to go. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn, I will die. With all my love, I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, so we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. As I walk out on this May morn, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write some words upon the wall so everyone will know I loved you so much that I could see his blood upon the rose. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn, I will die. With all my love, I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, so we must say goodbye. There won't be time to share our love, so we must say goodbye. Have a good St. Patty's Day.
There you go. So, Fred, before you go, you brought this into the studio today. Tell us what the Clancy brothers mean to you and Irish music in general.
Well, it wasn't until I started listening to Irish music, my earliest memory, I was in about the 5th or 6th grade in the Glee Club, long story short. And we were sitting in class one day, it was close to St. Patrick's Day, and my teacher said, out of the clear blue, he said, Mr. Hintz, you know, they call you Mr. in Catholic.
Right.
He's going to come up and sing a song for the class. And I was like, and that was my first, and I better have sang. You know, people have asked me, what if you just said I'm not doing it? I said, I don't know if I through a wall somewhere.
Right.
So I sang an Irish song, and when I was in the Glee Club, we would play, sing at St. Patrick's Day and Christmas and all those songs. So the Clancy brothers, Tommy Makem, I used to buy the singles, The Unicorn, you know. Funny how some of the Irish songs that were popular were kind of offbeat, you know, like novelty songs.
Right.
You know, so I thought I'd bring that in for you and, you know, have some fun with that.
Appreciate it.
I've been listening, you know, here and there to Irish music. And there's a couple that creep in the set here and there. You know, can't say it's consistent, but it was fun singing those songs today. It's a challenge, though.
Yeah.
I have to say that. You know?
There you go. There you go.
You know,
so we have a few minutes left. Plug anything you want to plug. Any social media or any...
The YouTube channel has been long on my bucket list of things to do. Because I'm hard to describe. I say, you know, when you're booking me, what do you do? You know, do you do any familiar songs? Do you do this? What do you do? You know, and it's hard to describe what I do, you know, because I do so many things that are off the beaten path.
Right.
You know, I do a lot of, you know, Warren Zevon songs, Lou Reed songs, John Cale songs, you know, and music that I grew up with, I draw from, you know, and try to arrange a lot of it for guitar and for myself. So what I'm trying to do is you know, create some videos on YouTube where people can get a flavor,
right.
And there's some live clips on that too, you know, be a little bit more high profile.
Okay.
You know.
There you go. And I just want to get a quick couple of plugs out of the way as well. You can meet yours truly, along with Greg the Hammer Valentine and Coco Beware, at the New York City Hilton, April 5th and 6th at WrestleCon. And if you want to order advance autographs or Polaroids, photo opportunities. I shouldn't say Polaroids. That's too old school. Photo opportunities.
Get you.
Greg Valentine, Coco Beware, April 5th and 6th at WrestleCon. Go to rivalrychampionshipwrestling.com. Order your advance copies. Our sponsors, Kings of the Ring podcast. You saw the commercial earlier. Maybe we'll play it again. And also SWF Wrestling, and they run all the time out in Jersey usually. And 350 Days, the movie, is coming soon, April 2nd, to iTunes, Blu-ray, DVD, Target, Walmart.com, Target.com, etc., so on. And we even have a store. Here's our cap, T-shirts, posters, 350 Days. And
we have to get one of those.
You could get this at 350daysthemovie.com and our store. And please support true independent cinema. Yours truly, the associate producer, superstar Billy Graham, Bret Hart, Greg Valentine, the stars of this movie. And SWF Wrestling at the Bayville Elks, March 23rd.
In Bayville?
Bayville.
Wow.
Bayville, New Jersey.
Oh, Bayville, New Jersey.
Yeah, not
Bayville, Long Island.
Right.
Just to clarify, quick question: the WrestleCon, are you going to be in the city and in Jersey?
That's going to be at the Hilton in Manhattan,
Okay.
April 5th and 6th. But April 7th, I'll be with Greg Valentine, Mark out at the Meadowlands. That's a different convention.
Okay, so who are you going to be with on the 6th?
Greg Valentine and Coco Beware.
With both
Yeah,
of them.
both of
So,
them.
okay,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
We're going to try to make
Come
that.
on down and meet the Hammer.
No.
So
I'll put him in an armbar. Yeah.
Jimmy Farrow got so emotional when he met Greg Valentine. He was teary-eyed, right, Jim? Yeah. He'll be sleeping on my couch. I won't be as teary-eyed. We'll be having cereal together and scrambled eggs or whatever. So anyway, Fred, I know you have an appointment to get to, but thank you so much for appearing as always.
Thanks for having me out.
And you're resplendent in green. Resplendent.
Yes, it's Patty Hints for today.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. There you go. Fred Ince, thank you. And
All right.
when we come back, we're going to talk pop culture with Erica Assison, Erica A. And Jim, anything you want to plug before we go to our next guest?
Nope, I'm good.
Any new shows? Anything at the station?
We have all kinds of new stuff going on. Let's see. I think we have a new show. We have a fitness show now with Kathy Tafty from Fit Body Boot Camp.
I need a fitness show. Get your ass to the gym, like a motivation. Once I'm there, I'm okay.
She's the one. She
Yeah.
takes your number, and if you don't show up, she'll call you.
Wow.
And text you. So you know.
And when is this on?
This is on tomorrow night at 7:30.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
We got some other new ones coming up soon. I'll announce.
I'll go to Tai Chi class. I'll go to gym class. I'll go to classes at the gym. I'll go to whatever. But sometimes it's just like it's cold, it's raining, I'm tired.
Right.
Forcing yourself to go.
I told one of the women the other day, and I said, I missed the gym. Missed going to the gym last night. She said, yeah. I said, yeah, that's 2,800 days in a row that I missed.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but I feel a sense of satisfaction that I made myself do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get just as much satisfaction just getting up and walking to my car.
Yeah, well, not easy. Anyway, Fred's got to go. He's got a family gig to get to. And
All right. It's a good way to work out, though. I told somebody this. Put a weight on the refrigerator door.
yeah.
Good way to work out. Just a tip for the day. You know?
Oh, here's a tip for you. Here's a tip for you. Anything with family, don't talk politics or religion.
I'm totally with you on that.
All
Totally
right.
with you on that.
We're gonna take a brief time out and come back with Erica A. and talk very, very important subject matter like superheroes and things like that. All right. Take care, Fred. Thank you.
Kings of the Ring is wrestling's first audio drama podcast as a fictional depiction of the 1980s wrestling industry in and out of the ring. Join us as we take you back to the 1980s. You'll be a fly in the wall in the locker rooms of the past while the wrestlers put together matches. We'll take you into the jam-packed arenas where the rabid fans of the past believed everything they saw was real. We'll take you inside the ring where you'll hear what the wrestlers talk about and you can feel the action. We'll take you to the underbelly of the arena where the wrestlers got into all sorts of trouble. And we'll take you to the bars and clubs where the boys got into even more trouble. And it wouldn't be 80s wrestling if we didn't end up at the hotel room. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or go straight to the website kingsotr.com.
We are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. You have to put the logo this way.
If you're talking R. Kelly, I'm going to go back in the day. I'm going to wear it.
There you go. Our model, Erica A. So
Y2K.
there you go.
Okay. Bye.
So.
It's too big for me that way.
Is it? All right. Anyway, point it towards the camera.
All right.
There you go. Man.
The lovely
There you go. This is like
The Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Next
That's
up
it.
for bid, we have this wonderful hat. Now remember, be in the nearest dollar. How much would you say for this lovely hat? Memorabilia from the movie. Without going over.
I don't even know. Yeah.
I'm going to say $8.75.
$8.75. Okay, Evan, what's your bid?
No, it's more than that. It's more than that, but it's less than 20. I forget.
You got to do like they used to do and say, then you say $8.76. Because I said $8.75. Now you can't lose.
That's right. $8.76. No.
$8.76. Now I get to bid.
Oh, no.
You should go to rivalrychampionshipwrestling.com and find out and order one and support true indie cinema. And I don't get a penny from it, by the way. I'm just trying to help the producers who have sacrificed 6 years and mucho dinero to make this film.
No, you get satisfaction out of it. You get that your name is there. You're keeping yourself active. You're keeping yourself prominent in the level that we are today.
I get the satisfaction out of a dozen or so wrestlers in that film have passed in the 6 years that we've made that, and you're preserving their history and their accomplishments. And I'm sure nobody was following the Canadian Wolfman around with a camera crew like we did to get his last interview. So anyway, Erica, I saw Avengers Infinity War on Netflix the other day, and I'm watching this, and I'm thoroughly...
And it has about 30 superheroes all in it.
There's about 30 superheroes, and probably a dozen of them are dead at the end. And I'm enjoying...
Oh, no spoilers.
Well, I'm not going to say who. So I'm enjoying...
All of them.
I'm enjoying the film, and all of a sudden, one by one, these great superheroes are dying in front of you. And I have zero emotional involvement in any of it.
You're so far behind in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, it's because I know as an adult that in the next movie they're going to somehow bring them back, and that their deaths mean absolutely nothing.
Especially since we all know they're there for Phase 4, and several of them are in the movie that's coming out this weekend.
This weekend they're back already. Okay, I watched this 2 days ago. They're back this weekend, Jim.
Captain Marvel.
So
they're finally giving a female a little time of day.
So Peter Pan sitting in the movie theater, teary-eyed that his favorite superhero died. I'm sitting there going, this means nothing because they're just going to bring the guy back, and it's almost like emotionally cheating the viewer as far as I'm concerned. No?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it depends on the individual.
If you kill Citizen Kane, he doesn't come back in a prequel, you know?
Well, that's because it was made before its time. Don't give them any ideas. The prequel could be right on the way.
I mean, I keep using Walking Dead as the best example. Andrew Lincoln's character, he's literally impaled.
Mm-hmm.
He's bleeding to death. He's about to die. There's a horde of walkers behind him.
And it ain't Westworld. There's no robotic reboot coming.
So they whisk him off in a helicopter, and then they interview the producers who go, he's going to be in multiple movies and another series. And I'm like, why did I get all emotionally involved in this? It's almost like they're cheating you out of a payoff. I mean, am I wrong?
I don't know. I mean, if you feel that way, you should never watch Gotham.
I've never watched Gotham.
Okay, well, I love the show, but the one flaw with it is the writers don't seem to understand the definition of dead.
My friend Sir Style is in Gotham. Andrew Anderson's been in Gotham, and a bunch of guys I know. Yeah.
Okay, well, Gotham was a fun show, love it or hate it, and I've been watching, vested in it, and it's on a 3-episode countdown now, and then it's over.
Okay. I think Jay Lover, another wrestler buddy of mine's been on it.
Quite a few wrestlers, I believe, have been background characters.
Because wrestlers are menacing looking, so they could play supervillains. Yeah.
Or just random villains who can lift people over their head.
That's right. So I always ask you the same question, and
what am I watching?
Yeah, because you watch more TV than any human. You have super mutant powers because you could watch like 4 or 5 shows simultaneously. 3 or 4 shows.
I can only watch 4 or 5 if it's something like a movie I've already seen 2 or 3 times. I can watch.
But how do you? I can't. Jim. I can't even watch like 2 boxing matches at the same time on 2 channels. I can't focus.
Yeah, I'm able to do multiple.
Really?
Yeah.
You could watch 4 things simultaneously.
I do.
4 things.
Yes.
Wow. Maybe I'm just stupid. I can't focus.
You got to time it right. You know,
exactly.
You got to be able to play the commercials right and time them out right and just get the gist of one before you jump to another.
I mean, sometimes I'll have a wrestling show on and a boxing show. I can't focus.
Well, because they're too similar. You need to have 3 things where you can differentiate each other clearly by what's going on. There's nothing worse when you're watching 2 things and you realize.
But how do you absorb all the dialogue?
They speak. They have different voices.
Yeah, but if it's at the same time, isn't it just a blur? No?
No, they're saying completely different things.
Okay.
People are talking about some magical universe that has nothing to do with reality, and one person's talking about the subway, or getting to court on time, or stopping the C4 explosive that's going to hit.
I could interview 3 or 4 guests at the same time because inevitably one's a great talker, one's a very good talker, one guy's like useless and the other guy's mute. So you just focus on the 2 good
TV
talkers.
has enough background music and enough commercials that there's always a moment to change.
By the way, I just want to thank my guest who no-showed today without the courtesy of even contacting me. That's always nice.
So, but yeah, you had me on the sidelines, and this isn't Saturday Night Live. I can't just magically appear on sets. We were discussing R. Kelly and Michael Jackson and people who are being taken out of context and being put on 21st century values.
Well,
doesn't quite work that way.
R. Kelly,
R. Kelly,
he has a history.
I'm saying that everyone's like, oh my God, R. Kelly. I'm like, we've known about this. Everyone has known about this since like the mid-90s. I remember when I was a little kid.
I think white folk are finally being made aware of it, but I don't think
white person didn't know. It was like right after ODB. The only person who was in quite as much as him was like Bobby Brown, and then came R. Kelly.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I get it.
That's true.
But I'm saying it's like a known fact, and now people.
But it doesn't mean you can whitewash it if he's if allegedly he's abusing kids.
But if it's been a known fact for this long that everything that one could possibly do that was horrific, R. Kelly's done it, and he keeps coming back, and people forgive him.
Forgive him. One fan paid his bail.
Yes.
Forgive him. I need fans like that.
I'm just saying that. This isn't new.
Well, okay.
They're making it shocking. I'm like, I knew this when I was like 6, 7 years old. He's a scumbag. He's going to jail. He does shocking things. He does horrible things to women, horrible things to children. Oh, he has a nice song.
So let me ask you, as a woman, what do you think about the women that defend him?
I would never defend him, but I'm saying I would never pretend that this is new. That this is some new shocking thing that everyone
I
has to react to.
read time and time again with Cosby and R. Kelly, women posting, quote, all these bitches and hoes are doing this for the money. They're all liars. I'm like, excuse me? You have an army of people and not one person is telling the truth? I mean, why would women defend these guys?
That I don't know. I mean, maybe because they thought they're getting a pay cut out of this?
So you're saying what they're saying?
No, I'm saying the women who are defending him are doing it for the money.
No, I'm talking just idiots on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm not.
Idiots on Facebook are sheep. Going back to wearing the hat sideways, I know people don't call people sheep anymore. Maybe they do, it's back in style, but they're sheep, they're followers. I'd give them a good bath if I was in 10 years ago. But I don't think people do that either.
I always say the same thing. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. Whether these guys are innocent or guilty, after reading all of this for years,
yes,
would you leave your daughter or niece with these guys?
I ain't leaving my daughter or niece with anybody, first of all.
I mean...
Except your own family.
Except my own. And even that's questionable sometimes.
No, I'm just saying. I mean...
But I'm saying, it's like when he came out with Trapped in the Closet, I was already shocked that at that point it's like, R. Kelly's back and they're playing him and he's forgiven? Oh, that's nice. Okay, we've forgiven him. Didn't think that would happen. And then the other controversy and the weird thing with Lady Gaga when they did the album together, and I was like...
You can't assume people know what you're talking about because I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking about...
What happened with Lady Gaga?
Over the years, everyone's forgiven R. Kelly again and again. Why do people get shocked all over again? That's what I want to know. Oh, this weird thing was on one of the award shows. They did it to the video, but it was sort of pornographic. And I'm like, where... It was just pretty much his life, where he played the president and she played... some kind of intern or something, or maybe...
I have no idea what you're referring to.
Okay, I'm just saying, R. Kelly is nothing but inappropriate and shocking.
I do like Bump and Grind, though. It's a great song. Anyway, so what else are you watching?
I started watching Whiskey Cavalier, which is
that's
on
with
ABC.
that's with Lauren Cohen from Walking Dead, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Not from 1983, though. From right now. I finished watching Suits. It just ended. Been watching Gotham, watching the Arrowverse shows, watching Bull, watching some stuff on Nickelodeon. I don't know why I'm watching some of the kids' stuff, but I sort of got sucked in and I found it weird. They recasted some of the people from other shows and they play adults on it. I'm like, oh look, there's blah blah. And that person's working again. Isn't that nice? And then I looked at all kinds of crazy things. I've not been watching Double Dare as much as I thought I would be. I came on and I said how exciting it was. A show from the 80s is back and there's Mark Summers. But it sort of lost the thrill of it to me.
You left me behind 5 minutes ago. I don't know about any of this,
I didn't
but...
even discuss all my anime I'm watching.
Okay.
Because then I knew. Oh, here's a show for you. You talked about boxing before. Have you ever looked at Megalobox?
I have no idea what that is.
It's an anime show about a boxer.
Really?
Yes. It's about living in the future where you box with artificial robotic arms. Only he actually chooses to not, and so he goes under the boxing name Gearless Joe, where he refuses to, where his gear breaks. So he goes into this championship, his competition, to try to make his way to the champion, to rebox him, and he chooses to do it without any mechanical gear. Wow. Unlike everyone else who has these robotic giant things that they're swinging around that could probably knock someone.
I think we need to combine
away.
UFC, wrestling, and politics, where you put like
no robots.
You put like Trump in a steel cage with Obama, and you have like this $100 million gate, and it goes to charity. What do you think, Jim?
I think that'll work.
I'd pay to see that. Trump versus Obama in a cage.
I would do that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be entertaining?
No.
Why not?
Too barbaric in nature. I would rather see pistols at 10 paces.
Well, okay, well, that would work too. But I think it's coming because Trump was actually in a WrestleMania.
Yes.
So it's not that far fetched.
Let's not get to Idiocracy. We're too close already. If you're familiar with the movie.
I know of it. Yeah.
Luke Wilson, where Idiocracy, and he goes.
Speaking of Luke, what do you guys think about Luke Perry?
Oh, well,
52 years old.
Most sad deaths that I've seen so far. But let's discuss that for a while. They say, what are they going to do in Riverdale? Because too many of the biographies are like, oh, the dad on Riverdale died. Even though he was so famous for so many years and this was just a role he was playing. They've stopped production because they don't know what to do. I think they should give him a funeral. The same way they did on a sitcom in the early 2000s. Oh, the guy from Three's Company, what was his name?
John Ritter.
John Ritter. When John Ritter was on a show, he played the father on a sitcom. They actually did an episode that was his wake.
Wow.
And the show continued without him. David Spade actually joined the cast.
Okay.
But I'm saying that they actually worked it into the show, and they gave the tribute of who he was as an icon, as well as who he was as the character. And I think that's what Riverdale needs to do. They need to say that this character died, and he was a great man, or maybe he was a great evil person. I'm actually not a Riverdale fan. As much as I love the CW, it's one of the few shows I've never given the time of day.
Okay, I never saw it.
Okay, you've never given it a moment notice either.
So this is like a serious version of Archie?
Exactly.
Wow.
It's like a serious and horror genre version of Archie. The Archie comics of Archie and the girls, and they've added characters, and they even introduced other minor people. Like, I looked one day, that was the only time I looked, they brought on Josie and the Pussycats to play in Riverton.
Wow.
But
people have way too much time on their hands. I'm sorry.
Why?
What do you think, Jim?
I think
they bring in Josie and the Pussycats to Riverdale or whatever.
Adaptation. And people say, will Sabrina, now that there's a Sabrina streaming service show, will Sabrina have a crossover with the show?
I think we should do like a I Love Lucy reboot where they're like mercenaries. Because if you could turn Archie into a horror show, like Fred and Ethel are like working for the CIA and they're undercover.
And turn it into some crazy Tom Cruise movie?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, there's no more rules anymore. Dead characters come back. Archie's a horror show. Why not?
Characters get prequels of before they're born.
Yeah, Lucy's a ninja. You know, I think it'd be great.
She's not a ninja. She's the covert operative who hides in the background and has a camera in her bow right here or in her polka dots.
That's right.
Taking 3-dimensional pictures.
You know what's going to happen? Like 6 months from now, this show is actually going to come about and they're going to steal all your ideas.
Well, might be Viacom then. But no, I've been watching Bull, I've been watching Suits, I've been watching Outlander till it finishes its season. I'm waiting for The White Princess. I'm waiting for Game of Thrones to return. I know you're excited about Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. I find it interesting, Jim, that with Game of Thrones, there's actually like a time clock online going like,
yes,
you know.
I sent you the time clock.
25 days, 14 hours, and like 8 seconds. They're counting seconds. This is people have no lives whatsoever.
Wow.
I love this show, but I'm not counting the seconds.
The scary part is how many people actually go to that clock to actually see how much time is left.
I think it's something that people need every night that got them through the last 2 years. It's like
how many episodes? Only like 7, right?
I think 6.
6. This is for 6 hours. Oh no, maybe the episodes are longer.
Like 2 hours, they were saying.
Like 6 2-hour episodes. Okay. And then they're going to have like 12 different spin-offs anyway, so it's not like this is even going to really end.
But this is the end of the characters that we've come vested in and that we care about and we want to see die or we want to see live or we want to see live to kill someone else. So, prediction about how Game of Thrones is going to end?
Cersei's brother's going to kill her.
Yes, we know that. Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
The tall one or her twin?
The one she's having sex with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree.
I don't remember characters' names, so yeah.
I mean, you don't have to call them by name, but there's the short one. There's the imp.
The imp, yeah.
And there's her twin who she's having sex with. I agree. It's going to be...
Yeah, he's going to kill her.
He's going to kill her because they've been talking. There were two things that everyone knew. There was the algebraic equation that would equal J.
And at the very end, the last 5 minutes, Thanos is going to come down with that cute... with the six...
with his infinity stones.
Yeah, with the infinity stones. And it's going to open up a whole new...
No, I think that Luke Skywalker is going to come down as the ghost from the Force.
I still haven't seen Solo yet. I heard it was better than people say it was.
I think it was a great... I talked about it with you.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Some characters did a great job re-embodying the original character and making it believable that they are that younger self.
I still haven't seen Black Panther. I still haven't seen Solo. You know what happens?
Did you see Aquaman?
I still haven't seen Aquaman.
Okay.
What happens is, it'll be late at night, and I'll be tired, and I'll go, I need something stupid that I really don't have to focus that much on. I'll put on a comic book movie.
I didn't say watch Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman has...
I like Wonder Woman.
I know, I was about to say Wonder Woman...
But I'm a guy. Just looking at her for 2 hours is entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't
I wouldn't feel
that...
the same way looking at Aquaman. Looking at Wonder Woman's...
Okay, you care more about Mira then.
Who's Mira?
The one he's going to marry.
Oh, I didn't see it. I don't know.
Most people who, including I, can say that in some way she really stole the movie.
Yeah, you ever watch a movie, Jim, and you go, Scarlett Johansson is almost too perfect. It's like people don't deserve to look that good. It's like
too funny.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what are you watching then?
I'll tell you a great TV story, Jim. I'm dying up here on Showtime about stand-up comedians in the 70s, based on real people.
That show went off this year, right?
You just killed my punchline. So I'm watching it, and I post online, this is the best show on TV. Within 30 seconds, a guy goes, they just canceled it.
Well, sorry. Media expert Erica A. knows it goes off the air.
So I'm watching Crashing, which is also about stand-up comedians with real people. And it's not quite as good, but it's excellent. It's on HBO, and I recommend Crashing. And Westworld's great. And I'm still watching Walking Dead, but I stopped watching Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay. How about Talking Dead?
Very sporadically. I don't really need an hour of therapy after each episode.
Well, I know a show you probably skipped.
What's that?
The Masked Singer.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
That was a show on Fox that was on for a short run where Nick Cannon was hosting this show that was like a reality show where people who were celebrities wore these crazy costumes and ridiculous masks and they
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
I told a friend of mine about that. I was like, have you been watching it? This is right up your alley. She's like, what? I thought this was a joke. And I'm like, no, it was sadly true.
Talking Dead is so insane. They'll actually bring out a character they just killed on the show, and they'll tell the audience like they can't grasp this. He's not really dead, and the actor's sitting there on the couch because the fans are so compulsive. It's like they can't separate reality from fantasy.
Fan is equally obsessed.
Again, I enjoy most of these superhero movies. I thoroughly enjoy. I think Robert Downey as Iron Man is great, and Spider-Man's very sympathetic.
Spider-Man has went through more faces than I want to keep count of. So
the Hulk is very sympathetic. Mark Ruffalo
has finally settled into Mark Ruffalo after 2 other Hulks.
But again, it's not profound. It's not great cinema. It's greatly entertaining. There's a difference.
Okay. How about Teen Titans Go to the Movies? Have you looked at that yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I'm sure at some point when my brain is numb and it's 1 a.m., I'll turn it on.
See it, but I didn't get a chance. It's a good movie for being numb.
Wrestling's good to watch when you don't need to focus.
Okay.
It's not exactly that complex wrestling.
If you have subtitles, you can pretty much just stare. Because though I'm a big anime fan, unfortunately, I watch it dubbed. I can't sit there and read along with it.
I'll tell you, speaking of subtitles, my wife's Korean, and she watches these Korean like mafia movies, and it's so brutally violent. I'm surprised she's enjoying it. I mean, it's like really graphic and like
so
brutal.
Soprano brutal? Or?
I mean, brutal. It's like bloodbaths, and he's like torturing somebody, and I'm like, wow. She's like. And she goes, Oma, Oma, Oma. like she gets like really, it's, I don't know. So,
So another person who died I was sad about, I was talking about it with you earlier before the show. The person who played the grandmother on Who's the Boss and was on Soap.
Catherine Hellman.
And how she was like my favorite character on both those shows. I watched them in their first rotation of reruns.
When I was a kid, Jim, you remember her? Catherine Hellman? Who's the Boss? The mother?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was the fun one who would always be saying the inappropriate stuff on Who's the Boss with the kids. And
when I was 20 and she was 40, I was always like, she's smoking hot. Remember, Jim?
Okay, you were 20, I wasn't born yet.
No, yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Wait, the mother?
No,
the mother.
grandmother.
The mother.
You mean with the red hair?
Yes.
You thought she was hot?
Yeah. No?
Maybe before that show.
Like in the 70s.
Okay.
Like in the 70s. Yeah.
After a beer. Or 6.
Beer goggles. No, she in the 70s on Soap.
Okay.
She was sexy. She was sexy, yeah.
I don't know. She still looked the same to me, 70s and 80s. She just was the cool person. It's like, I wonder if in 50 years I can be that cool.
Anyway, Jim, what are you watching?
Ugh. I watch a lot of the home shows, the home improvement shows.
Really?
House Hunters.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think of Up's new show of the twins who redo houses and decorate? Have you seen that one yet?
What are they called? Yeah, they're all great. I like them all.
Okay.
There's like 5 or 6 different shows. There's one, I just got the show from called Two for the Show. They're from Palm Springs. And then the week I get that show, there's a show on the home show.
Okay.
Desert Makeover or whatever. And it's these people in Palm Springs who do house renovations. So I got sucked into that one because.
So what do you think of when celebrities do those shows? I don't.
Mean like,
does it take away from the actual product, or does it make it more appealing?
I don't think it helps or hurts. I mean, of course, I think that people who like that celebrity will probably watch it. But for me personally, I'd rather just see regular people. That's what I like about reality TV. I don't necessarily like seeing these stupid actors. Sorry for that word to describe them, but I'd rather see normal, regular people. I like reality TV.
So annoying actors.
Yeah, annoying actors.
The only thing even remotely related to that, there's this Japanese woman who's like 4'9" who comes into people's homes and like tidies it up. I forget the name of it. On Netflix.
Okay.
She's like famous for like organizing and tidying up people's homes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I watched one episode with my wife, and
then they got the one with the hoarders.
Oh God.
That's the sound effect.
Yes. I hate.
Between segments.
I just hate all those though.
I've known hoarders.
I am a hoarder, some say.
I had a friend who I went into his house one day, and he had newspapers stacked to the ceiling. Newspapers. And I go, why do you have all these newspapers? He goes, I'm 2 years behind reading them.
Oh, Jesus.
I go, do you realize this is a fire hazard? Like, your house could go up in a second.
Well, I guess that was a more rational reason instead of, well, I bought them. I just want to hold on to them in case I ever need them.
He was 2 years behind in reading newspapers. I mean, so my... I've been to people's houses who are hoarders, and you literally can't walk, and you're like, where do they sleep? Where do they eat?
Bed, of course, and they eat by holding.
No, it's a form of mental illness. I mean, it's really depending how severe. I mean, there's a line between collector and hoarder. People collect things, but when I think hoarding, you literally can't walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
think hoarding also has to do with how practical the item is. Like, unfortunately, my bag of paper towel rolls. I know my mother would love to see me get rid of those. But I've had them since elementary school, but I actually needed them for school projects, and I just have them saved, and she stopped letting me add to them and make extra bags of them. toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls, and the rolls that you get underneath the wrapping paper. Those I still hold on to.
Where are they?
Behind the couch.
Ah.
Sort of out of sight, but I think anyone who looked would be like, wait a second. And I still have Tissue Box Tower. I built that up to the ceiling, and then unfortunately the ceiling fell in on it. I had to get rid of some of them. So the good boxes I still saved. They're hidden.
I had a relative who died, and I won't mention his name to protect the criminally insane. And we go into his house after he dies to clean it out. And I found bags of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters throughout the house. Wow. So I'm walking out. It was like I just robbed a bank. I have like 80 pounds of coins, and I'm holding it like this. And it turns out to be about $250 worth of coins.
Here's a question for you: how many bags of mail did they save?
No, this guy was a hoarder.
But I'm saying, I had a relative who saved all the coinage, but also I wanted to compare notes. Did they save their mail? Did they save cans?
Everything. You couldn't walk. You couldn't walk. It was like a crack den.
How many houses did this relative have?
No, it was an apartment.
Oh, okay.
And so everywhere you looked, there were coins. I guess he never went to the bank. So I was with my mother, and I'm like, it's money. We might as well take it. And it turned out to be about $250.
Oh, I had
that was my inheritance.
My aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
They were hoarders.
Yeah.
They were saving for the Second Great Depression. They had rooms and rooms dedicated to toilet paper, toothpaste, aluminum foil. I mean, me and my mother still...
The toothpaste room is always a tourist attraction.
Me and my mother are still going through their aluminum foil and their dish soap. We're finally up to we're talking the late 90s, early 2000s. We are still using. We're finally up to the last dish detergent soap.
I understand some of it in theory. My mother died 2 years ago. It's hard to throw out some of her stuff, but she's not going to need it. At some point, it makes sense to throw it out. But I could walk in my apartment. It's in a box on the side somewhere. You're not a hoarder. It's a different. It's about letting go of things, and some people just can't. And it's sad because you see these shows, and it's very unhealthy conditions. Whenever Hoarders comes on, I show my wife, I go, anytime you think I'm not neat, look at this. Anyway, we're rapidly running out of time. Anything you want to plug?
Oh, nothing right now. I've just finally found my freedom. I told you guys I wouldn't see you guys for a few months, so unofficially might be back around, but I'll know more next week. Until I can get back to doing.
So we could have the same conversation in a few weeks, where I go, "What are you watching?" and you say superhero movies, and I go, "They're stupid." And
in a few weeks I'll discuss Deadly Class, and I'll discuss Cloak and Dagger. I can discuss Shadowhunters, which returned a few weeks ago. Deadly Class will probably be over by then.
What is Shadowhunters?
Shadowhunters is the Immortal Institute book series based on a series. They're in their 3rd or 4th season. We discussed it 2 years ago.
Okay, and I still haven't watched it.
Okay, well, it's not worth watching. It's sort of a teen drama. You're too old for it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it's on Freeform back when it was ABC Family. It started. It was a TV show that was a movie first. It had a really impressive cast in the movie. The show is just Disney people.
Okay.
But it's fun. I'm vested in it. They keep saying it's going to go off the air. They had all these...
You're like Dick Clark, the world's oldest teenager.
Not quite.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, I'm still trapped in the 90s, so I'm not a millennial. I'm not a teenager anymore.
Okay. So, anything else you recommend? Anything else you want to plug? Anything you want to plug, Jim?
I'm good.
Okay.
Well,
thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. And I hope I don't offend you when I say I haven't seen, or I'm not interested in, or I think some of what you watch isn't what I would watch, but that's what makes horse racing.
Malarkey, I know that.
Huh?
Everything I watch is malarkey.
No. Sometimes I just like to watch something that's mindless, and everything doesn't have to be The Sopranos.
I like mindless. It's a diversion. I mean, who needs their own life being shown to them on TV? You can go out and live that. You're home, you're in front of a TV, you're holding your remote, clenching it tightly, flipping the 3 different channels, watching to be a distraction from life.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I have no interest in watching like medical shows.
I actually like them, even though I'm medicalophobic. People say, how do you watch this? You're screaming. I've watched something with you. You cover your eyes and you cover your ears and you scream over the whole thing. And I'm like, well, I sort of watch it between my fingers.
I was watching Celebrity Rehab, and then they started dying one by one by one. I go, this is depressing. Why am I watching this? Anyway, thank you, Erica. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
And that'll about do it.
Bow, chicka, bow, bow.